This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. If Republicans are anything, and they're a lot of things, they're cunning. They've seen the writing on the wall relative to elections. They know that our country is changing. Our attitudes are changing. We're becoming a more progressive country, more accepting and loving of our neighbors. The pandemic has really shined a light on just how heartless the Republican Party are, and Republicans, I think, in general. They don't care about their neighbors. It's my liberty. They don't want to wear a mask to save their grandma from dying of COVID. We see it with disenfranchisement of people of color, their voter suppression laws. We see it with their opposition to sensible, reasonable health care laws, regulations, systems, setups where Medicare for all, that type of thing. Because they don't care. It's me. It's all about me. The individual is king. The collective be damned. But you can't have a strong collective if your individuals struggle. One won't follow the other. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here. One of the after effects of the big lie of the Republicans trying to say that Donald Trump won the election, that it was stolen from him. One of the effects of that, they're learning that he's not coming back. I mean, how many times have they said, oh yeah, he's going to magically somehow be reinstated as president? They know that's not going to happen. They love to keep their base whipped up into a frenzy because they know they're stupid, but they know that's not going to happen. So they're going another route. And Reuters, which by the way is a straight down the line news agency. They're not a slanty, some people say like CNN or NBC or the New York Times is left wing. I would beg to differ, but Reuters is none of that. They've just done a report, the headline here, special report, backers of Trump's false fraud claims seek to control next elections. And that is what they're doing. There are multiple races across the country in swing states that were in the mix, there are contentious races for the Secretary of State in those states. In almost all states, the Secretary of State is the controller of elections, the regulator, the keeper of free and fair elections. And they are running candidates now who bought in fully to the lie that Donald Trump actually won the election, which doesn't bode well for future elections because their intent is to make it easier to steal elections, to make sure that what happened in 2020 when they were unable to overturn the results of the election, that'll no longer happen. They'll be able to in the future overturn free and fair elections that didn't go their way. I'm going to read a little bit from this. I'm not going to read it all. I would encourage you, the link will be in the description, read this report from Reuters. One leading candidate seeking to become Georgia's chief elections official, a Republican Jody Hice, is a congressman who voted to overturn Democrat Joe Biden's 2020 presidential win in the hours after January 6 riots at the U.S. Capitol. Hice had posted on social media earlier that day, "This is our 1776 moment," referencing the American Revolution. In Arizona, the contenders for the election's chief office, Secretary of State, include Republican lawmaker Mark Finchem, who attended the Stop the Steal rally before the deadly insurrection and spoke at a similar gathering the previous day. In Nevada, one strong Republican candidate for elections chief is Jim Marchant, who unsuccessfully sued to have his own defeat in the 2020 congressional race reversed based on unfounded voter fraud claims. Do you see a theme here? This is what they're attempting to do. Weasel their way in, worm their way in to the actual infrastructure of our elections in order that they can call the shots and make elections devoid. The three candidates are part of a wider group of Republican Secretary of State contenders in American swing states who have embraced former President Donald Trump's false claims that he lost a rigged election Their candidacies have alarmed Democrats and voting rights groups who fear that the politicians who tried hardest to undermine Americans' faith in elections last year may soon be the ones running them or deciding them in future contested votes. Gina Griswold, chair of the Democratic Association of Secretaries of State and Colorado's top elections official, said the Secretary of State races reflect a much broader exploitation of phony voter fraud claims by Republicans seeking all levels of elected office. That is a code red for democracy, she said in an interview. And she is correct. It is the same warning that I have been screaming about for months and months and months. The precipice, as I talk about it. Secretary of State candidates face primary elections next spring and summer and general elections on November 8th, 2022, along with the midterm congressional contests. Reuters interviewed 9 of the 15 declared Republican candidates for Secretary of State in 5 battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, and reviewed public statements by all of the candidates. Now, this is disheartening, but we have to keep our heads above water and out of the sand in order that we fight this. 10 of the 15 have either declared that the 2020 election was stolen or called for their state's results to be invalidated or further investigated. They wanted a redo. They wanted to just cancel out a free and fair election because it didn't go their way. Only 2 of the 9 candidates Reuters interviewed said that Biden won the election. Repeating it because it bears repeating. Only 2 of the 9 candidates Reuters interviewed said that Joe Biden won the election. The group of the 15 includes Brad Raffensperger, the Georgia Secretary of State and the only incumbent Republican in the 5 battleground states who is seeking re-election. Raffensperger has consistently rejected Trump's stolen elections allegations in the face of intense pressure from many fellow Republicans to overturn Biden's win in the state. Nearly all of the Republican contenders have stressed a need to curb mail-in voting, to limit ballot drop boxes, and to take other steps to curtail ballot access. A majority said they backed a Republican push for more audits or other investigations of the 2020 vote, despite dozens of audits, recounts, and court rulings that confirmed Joe Biden's victory. Because they don't care about what the actual results are. They only care that they remain in power, even if that means rejecting the will of the people. It's highly unusual for a former U.S. president to endorse Secretary of State candidates. President Trump is proud to endorse candidates who fight for election integrity, said Liz Harrington, a Trump spokeswoman. Democrats and nonpartisan election experts say it appears that Trump allies have been foiled in their attempt to reverse Biden's victory, are now trying to make it easier to overturn future results. That is what this is about. To be sure, there is no doubt that is what this is about. The false voter claims, I'm going to end it here, the false voter claims by Trump and his allies have inspired hundreds of threats of hanging, firing squads, bombs, and other violence against election officials and their families. A Reuters investigation this month revealed that U.S. law enforcement has held almost no one accountable for the barrage of threats and intimidation of election administrators. Now look, being somebody who's in this business, I receive a fair amount of death threats. And it is a shocking thing that it is almost impossible to get help. I've had police in my living room talking to them, showing them death threats that I've received, knowing who the person is. They weren't anonymous, using their regular old Facebook account. And they do nothing, even here in California with the stalking laws. That's kind of an aside, but this is where it goes, is they run for election, they lose the election, they try to overturn the election. If that doesn't work, they're going to run for office so next time they can overturn it. And if that doesn't work, they've got this hanging in the wings. We will rally the support of our unwashed, low-information voter base to threaten you with hanging. Remember, hang Mike Pence, seeking Nancy Pelosi, bomb threats, firing squads. It will have another insurrection. They want power at any cost, even if it costs us the soul of our nation. I would love to know what you think about all of this. Please stay informed. Read this full article. It's in the description, all the way at the bottom of the description. Call me. Leave me a voicemail. I'd love to hear from you, even if you disagree. Maybe more importantly, if you disagree. That's how we have a conversation. If you're just going to be a hater troll, you can call too. 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for engaging with my content. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Have you subscribed yet? I don't know why that struck me as funny. Follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. That's a good time. It's not always politics. Sometimes I'm a goddamn goof. If you appreciate what I do, if I bring you value in any way, whether it be bringing a smile to your face or a little information to your ears and your brain, you can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for fewer than $2 a month, $1.99 a month. You can become a channel member, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast and help support my work in that way. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.